Hi everyone, Shea McAleese here. I'm a part of the men's Vantage Black Sticks. I've been lucky enough to go to 4 Commonwealth Games, 4 World Cups and 3 Olympics, and I'm an Olympic ambassador, and today I'll be showing you a little bit of the inside look at what it is like to be an Olympian at the Olympics and in the village.
Kia ora everyone, I'm Jaimee. I went to the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio. My sport was canoe sprint and I raced in the women's K4 500. We've got a little video to show you about what it means to wear the silver fern and be part of the New Zealand team. For me, it was a real honour and something that I'd worked towards my whole life. I wanted to be an Olympian when I was 8 years old. I watched the 1996 Olympics, and from then on, my mission was to compete for New Zealand at the Olympic Games.
The fern, a little symbol with so much meaning. It's not just something we wear, it's who we are. The fern connects our warriors from yesterday with our athletes of today. For it's been with us from the beginning. Once used by great warriors to navigate the ancient forests of Aotearoa, it's since been used to inspire our great warriors around the world. The fern, once used to guide us, now unites us, the New Zealand team.
Tangata is the house that we've created. The foundation of the house is Manaaki. Each of the po is situated and placed in the house to give strength to the main actor, which is the tiko tiko of the whare. We are there for the tiko tiko, we are there for the performers. Everything is about getting the athletes to the top of the mountain. Poho nui, whakakoha, ngākau pono, hautūtanga, kai rangatira. Those are the 5 values that make up this house and make it different and unites us as a people. All members of the New Zealand team have a pathway that leads to the doorway that is Potanga.
And as they enter the house, they begin to sit as one, on one mat with one thought, which is Aotearoa, New Zealand. The mat is woven so everybody can sit on this mat. From the ground up, we are Ponga, we are part of the fern, and the silver fern is who we are. It's here that the athletes turn and leave the house of Potangata and go on and challenge the world.
Not only will we continue to wear the fern proudly on our chests, we will continue to do it proud. We will continue to inspire, to unite, and to make history. We are the fern, and the fern is the New Zealand team. Ko tātou te kapa o Aotearoa. We are the New Zealand team.
I think the cool thing that shows you is that the Olympics is a little bit bigger than just you and your sport. So obviously I'm here with Jaimee, my lovely wife, and we were able to compete at the Rio Olympics together, which was pretty cool. You're not going to see us for a little bit of this next bit because we actually want to show you what it's like to be at the Olympics. So I'm going to show you a few photos in the next few slides, and I'll just talk to them as well. And this should show you a little bit of the inside look at what it's like to be at the Olympics. So this one here, you can see the top photo is the Olympic flower wall that they had in the Beijing Olympics. That shows how old I am. Been playing for almost 16 years now for New Zealand. In the bottom right corner, you've got the Olympic rings at the London Olympics. And in the bottom left, you've got Jaimee and the K4 kayak team at the Rio Olympic Games. In here, you can see the village in itself is kind of like a little mini city, which is really cool. You get all these big buildings, all these amazing things as well. You can see in the bottom photo that you've got the New Zealand block. And it's pretty cool. The New Zealand team does a really big thing for us where they try to make the whole village experience really unique. As you might be able to make it out slightly, but there's actually silver fern that's been running up inside the windows that they put on, and we're actually next to Canada. This was taken at the London Olympics, and then across the way you've got Portugal and Holland, and as you can see, the village is a big community where the whole world all comes together as one. The next slide, and these are pretty cool because they're all actually taken from your phone, so you're kind of wandering around the village. These are all shown from the Rio Olympic Games, which both Jaimee and I were a part of. The top one is actually from our balcony, so we were right up the top as a part of the New Zealand team. And that's taken down, showing the sort of a little bit of the hangout zones that you can meet up with other New Zealand team members. And you can also meet up with other nations as well. So I've been lucky enough to play hockey around the world and met many cool people along the way. So it's a chance where I can meet someone from Germany, someone from Australia, but you're all sort of in that one little bubble. I think we're all used to probably living in little bubbles at the moment, and that's basically what the Olympic Village is. We're in one big bubble, and I think it basically maxes out at about 15,000 people will live in this little village. It's all fully secured. We're well looked after, but it is a kind of a unique and a bit of a surreal experience to be in. The next one is a little bit of a look, and so this is right up in our building block, and it will show you essentially what it's like in our little bubble and in our room. So us as the men's hockey team, similar to the women's hockey team, because we're a number of 25 when we go to the village, that we take up almost one whole floor between ourselves. So I was lucky enough to room with one of my good mates, Nick Ross, and you can see in the bottom photo that this is how we sleep. The cool thing is that the duvet covers, you actually get to take those home. So I've got 3 from the Olympics and 4 from the Commonwealth Games, and Jaimee's got 1 from the Rio Games. And we snuggle up to those on the couch on a cold day, and then hopefully we'll give one to our little daughter's bed soon enough as well. One of the other parts about the Olympics is it is kind of stressful, you know. There's a lot going on. You've got to be on your game for meetings, on your game for trainings, and then obviously the performance itself. So it's the same when you're studying or you're going out for Saturday sport. You want to make sure that you've got something else that you can do as well that helps you to relax. So one of the cool things that the Olympics does, our New Zealand team does, is they set up little spots where we can either hang out, the chill out zone where you can read a book. They've got little lolly stations and all sorts. But this is a photo of one of the game centres that they've got as well. So you can see that they've got a heap of pool tables. They've got a Beats lab where you could actually plug in your own CD or USB and record your own music. The bottom left photo is me and one of my good friends, Blair Hopping. We were actually singing or trying to do some karaoke. It probably sounded like 2 cats fighting to begin with. We think we got better, but I'd say the 100 people that were in the room reduced to about 10 by the time we'd finished. So it didn't go so well. But that's a cool thing that you can do, is just to get away from your sport, relax, do it with some friends, and mix around with some people as well, which is a cool part about the village and what it is like for us. This is one of the next bit is the cool bit for me as well. So what sort of inspired me to keep going from London to Rio was Jaimee. So I'm not sure if she knew this photo was in there, but I put it in there anyway. So she inspires me every day and still does today, and is inspiring me to hopefully go to Tokyo as well. And I think most people will know the person on the right-hand side, Roger Federer. So this is a younger, fresh-looking me in Beijing. I was lucky enough to meet Roger Federer. So I think it would be like for people if they're meeting Richie McCaw or Lisa Carrington or, I don't know, Justin Bieber, that you get a little bit excited. So I saw him walking past and chased him down, and had a photo with him. He's been one of my sporting idols, which has been excellent. So it was great to see him and get a photo with him as well. And then you'll see a little bit of a size disparity here. So these are a few of the NBA stars. So this is a cool thing about the Olympics as well, is it's not just you. You get to meet all sorts of different people. People would say that I'm tall-ish. No, I'm just joking, not so tall. But as you can see with Pau Gasol, he was a Lakers star, played for Spain. He's a shoulder above me, so he's a pretty tall guy. But that's the cool thing again about the Olympics, is it brings together everyone. So race, ethnicity, doesn't matter. Size, you've got the really tall volleyball players, the basketball players, and then the shorter gymnastics ones. So basically, whatever you are, whatever you're aspiring to be, the Olympics can be a pathway for you to get there. And then on the right-hand side is Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, who play with our own, or did play with our own, Steven Adams and for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which was pretty cool as well to meet some special people like that. Now, one of the ones that everyone likes to have a little bit of a look at is the food hall. So the food hall is a special place in itself. I think, as you can see, that it is a ginormous structure. So this is a photo that was, again, just taken on my phone, but shows you the village food hall in Rio. So I think it's essentially 2 football-size fields back on back, so end on end. It's absolutely ginormous. So you walk in there and you think, well, where am I? And then all of a sudden you see a hell of a lot of people wandering around getting food. So any time within the food hall, it can seat up to 7,000 people, and they're pushing out somewhere between 50 to 60,000 meals a day. So this is, as you can see, it's a bit of a hive of activity. So there's a lot of people that congregate to the food hall. As athletes, we're trying to eat sort of 5 times a day, so we can find ourselves there a lot of the time. A good thing that the New Zealand Olympic Committee do for us as well is that in Rio, we were actually somewhat distance away from the food hall, so they give us little bikes, and it's always a bit of a mad rush to get the bike allocation to make sure you can save your legs. And if you're not competing, you're not meant to use the bikes to allow those ones that can. So you imagine if you're at the other end of the village and you've got to make a trek to the food hall, it can be quite some distance to actually get there, and especially if you've got to go there 5 times a day. So we sometimes try to make sure we time it so we go there before training, get to our training venue, train, come back from training, and then we go there again. So you're trying to limit the amount of time on your feet because you've always got to have that one eye on performance and recovery as well. And the next one is where it all starts to begin. So generally for the Olympics, we tend to go in there 7 to 9 days before the games actually start. So you're getting used to all that sort of environment before it, because it can be a bit of a shock to the system. It can be a little bit overbearing for some, and so you've got to try and get used to it. So that's why we always take a little bit of time. And then it gets to where it all becomes really exciting. So these are a couple of photos of me. The bottom one, again, my younger looking self in Beijing, with this sort of fluorescent silver fern and Chinese symbols, which was pretty cool. So that every time you cracked your flash on, it blew up the camera. And it was pretty special when you first walk out to your Olympic Games, and to know that you've kind of made it when you get out into the opening ceremony. It all sort of starts to hit home and becomes that little bit more real. And the top one is from the London Olympics. So I'm not sure if you can see me. I've got a little sign with me on there, and I was holding a sign which actually says "Happy Birthday, Sis." So it was on the 27th of July 2012, and that happened to be my sister's birthday. So instead of buying her a present, I held that little sign, and I was lucky enough to be in the front row, and then said "Happy Birthday, Sis." So I think the Olympics gets broadcast to, we're just going to throw out a number and say 1 billion people. And there was that many people saw that little sign for my sister. So I think that sort of covered me for getting a birthday present that year, which was pretty cool. So it all sort of becomes a lot more real when you get out to the Olympics and into the opening ceremony, and then it all gets into competition time.
Cool, so we've had a couple of questions come through, and feel free, if you've got any questions of us, just pop them in the box and we'll answer them for you. So the first one is from Rashida from Ponsonby Intermediate, and she wants to know how it feels to be part of the New Zealand team. So I think most athletes would agree that the journey to become an Olympian is never smooth. There's plenty of ups and downs and a lot of blood, sweat and tears along the way. So the feeling of being named in the Olympic team for me was one of elation, I suppose, and just really special, being able to achieve a lifetime sort of dream as a little girl wanting to become an Olympian and represent New Zealand. So I think it will mean something different to each athlete, but it definitely is a really special experience.
Yeah, so it's similar for me. I think the first time I ever put on a New Zealand shirt and wore that silver fern made it all that more special. I think that was the cool thing about doing it with a lot of my good friends as well. But the experience that sort of really hit home, that New Zealand team is more than just who you are and your own internal team, so my hockey team, is when I first went to the Commonwealth Games in 2006. So that experience sort of made it all a little bit more real for me. Where you actually walk in and there's 100 other athletes or 200 other athletes doing the same thing. It makes it really special, and you see the drive and the passion that everyone has. And it makes it really cool to be able to do that. And we win together, we lose together, we celebrate everyone together, which is amazing.
Another awesome thing about being part of the New Zealand team, and something that I really enjoyed, was being able to go and support the other team members and watch different sports. Very rarely you get to be in one big competition where you can go watch your mates from different sports compete, especially on the international stage. So that was something that was really cool, and probably right up there with one of the most memorable experiences from the games. So we've got another question here from Sasha and Zane. They would like to know how we met. I think I'll answer that one. So being kayaking, you have quite good upper body strength. It's an upper body based sport, quite good core strength, so we tend to do a lot of chin-ups. And Shea wanted to have a competition with me one day, and I beat him probably by about 15 or so chin-ups. I think he managed 5, and I was up around 25, so just kicked off from there.
A little bit stronger than me.
So next question here, Anahira from Havelock North Intermediate. On average, how many people go to the Olympics from New Zealand? In Rio, there is around 200 athletes from the New Zealand team. So quite a big team. We had one tower, which I think we shared with Team Ireland, and they only had one floor, and the New Zealand team had the other 17 or so floors. So relatively big team, and it was awesome to be able to share that with all the other sports. There's also, we have, obviously on top of that, there's the support staff and the coaches and everybody else that sort of is the engine room and behind the athletes, and the people who enable us to do and be and part of the New Zealand team and be able to compete on the world stage. Cool, so we've got a little video to show you, and we'll continue to take more questions if they come through as well. But the video is just about, what it's all about competing for New Zealand. You'll see all our athletes competing in their sports, and we've got a little competition. If you can have a guess at how many sports you do see in the next video coming up.
It's Peter Burling who's the flag, a 3-time Olympian, and it's his teammate, Blair Tuke, with whom he's won an Olympic silver medal and 4 World Championship titles. Let's go for New Zealand.
Natalie Rooney. Silver for Rooney.
This is great riding from Todd.
New Zealand have just made it.
Not a medal contention, but a good, strong performance.
It's Woods. Linked in by McAleese.
Bond and Murray.
New Zealand, 2-time Olympic champions.
Luca Jones.
Surely the run of her life.
History beckoning here. Vahe Drysdale, 2-time Olympic champion.
Oh,
It's a hole in one.
Off we go.
It's big, it's over the 20-metre mark. That is a season best, I think.
That is world class.
On the front for New Zealand is Buchanan. Headed down the back straight, fast and furiously.
Inside again, floats it outside.
Peter Beerling and Blair Took will go on to win gold for New Zealand.
Hamlin stumbles on the inside, and Lisa Carrington has won New Zealand's third gold at these Olympics.
There's some fall at the back of the field here. There's a couple of runners down.
Cool. So how many sports did you see in that video? Put it in the little box below and we'll see how many of you got it right at the end. I love watching that video. It sort of shows all the special moments and brings back lots of memories for me. It's great to see New Zealanders sort of at the top of their game on the world stage. So we've got a few more questions that have come through. Remember, if you've got any questions, pop them in the box below. So our first one is from Mackenzie Reid. Who are your New Zealand sporting heroes? I'm a big fan of Dame Valerie Adams. She's a phenomenal athlete, and for her to continue to do what she does, she's had 2 children and been to a number of Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games and World Championships, and she continues to be the best that she is. And also, the biggest inspiration for her is her work ethic. She works so hard, and it's really inspiring for me.
And for me, I'm a really big fan of Richie McCaw. I think just the way that he always carried himself on the playing field, and as a captain, he led from the front always. So you'd never end a game and see that Richie there was a question around how much effort he put into the game. He always gave it 100% and always went above and beyond for the All Blacks, the Silver Fern, and for New Zealand.
Cool. So our next one from Rianne and Eamon. We love watching you play, Shea, because you probably don't know that you're a distant cousin of ours. And we find it very inspirational.
That's awesome. Thank you.
School Sport Canterbury has got another question. Did you both play other sports before you chose your own sport to focus on? Yeah, so I didn't take up kayaking until I was 17. Prior to that, I was a swimmer. I also did surf lifesaving for a number of years. But as a youngster, I sort of got into whatever I could at school. Kicked around a soccer ball, wasn't very good. Tried my hand at athletics, not a very good runner. So it did take me a little while to find something that I was good at, and kayaking just sort of happened.
And for me, I'd play any sport I could get my hands on. I played cricket, rugby, football, volleyball, basketball, basically did everything. I think it's good to try your hand at every sport just to see which one you fall in love with most. And that's basically the reason why I chose hockey. I fell in love with it more. I think the beauty of hockey for me was that you could wake up even when it was pouring with rain and still get out on the hockey turf because we play on Astro pitch, whereas it was one of the more gutting things that I would experience when you're a little tacker and it starts raining and then the fields get closed. So that was why I sort of started really gearing myself towards hockey.
Cool. So we've got another question from Room 35 at Somerville Intermediate. How old were you when you decided on your... Oh, I did that one, sorry. And why... So why hockey and why kayaking? So we've answered how old we were. I picked kayaking. It was sort of, I'm sure most of you have heard of Lisa Carrington. So her and I did surf lifesaving together when we were youngsters. And her dad was going to take her along to a kayak camp one day with Ian Ferguson. So I decided to go. We raced in multi-sport boats, in which, if you compare them to a kayak, are quite slow, and we did all right. So they asked us if we wanted to go and race at the Nationals, which we did. And from there we got selected for the Youth Olympic team. So it sort of just fell into kayaking in that way. And after the Youth Olympics, I wanted to go to the big Olympics. So the dream was reignited.
And I sort of answered it why I loved hockey, but I also got into it because my brother was a goalkeeper. He's 4 years older than me. You know, you always have that sibling rivalry, and he got stuck into me a little bit as I was a sort of little arrogant little guy running around. But because he was a goalkeeper, it gave me full license to hit a hockey ball at him. And we would have great competitions in the backyard where he'd try and save my shots. And then I started getting the upper hand on him, and then that sort of pushed me even more to loving hockey.
Cool. So I'm going to double up these next two questions. They're going to be for Shea. So Thea from Wellington wants to know what inspires you to continue to do what you're doing. And Nathaniel would like to know, are you going to the next Olympics?
What inspires me to keep going? I sort of get asked this question a lot because I'm in my 16th year of playing for New Zealand. It's a long time, as you can see the grey hairs sprouting out on the side. But I've always been asked the question of why do you do what you do and why do you continue to do it? You know, they say one day you'll wake up and you won't enjoy training anymore, or you won't enjoy going to the gym. But I love it. I love getting out and competing. I love getting out and training. And the other side of that is I find inspiration in what's around me every day. And lucky enough to be married to a previous Olympian, and she inspires me every day as well, which is really cool. And the other question was if I'm going to try to go to Tokyo. All plans were to go to Tokyo this year. That we'd planned around that. We had a little girl only 12 weeks ago, so our planning was all in and around that. My hope is to still go to Tokyo 2021, but as you get older, you have younger players that are always chasing at your heels. So I've got to stay on top of my game, make sure I stay fit, stay healthy, but more importantly, keep performing. So the plan, if my wife lets me go, will still be to go to Tokyo.
Cool. So we've got a question here. How do you guys feel about the Olympics being postponed? So I'd imagine most athletes are, on one hand, disappointed that all the hard work isn't going to show in a couple of months' time. But on the other hand, you know, the global pandemic is a lot bigger than the Olympic Games and just our athletes. And the health of our country, of our people, and of the world is probably a lot more important than in Olympic Games. Everyone will be super excited that it's still going ahead next year, and I know I can't wait to sort of watch everybody out there, and we're really looking forward to Tokyo 2021.
Yeah, I'm of the exact same opinion that the world at the moment and what we're going through is just more important than sport. I always know that we'll get back to it at some stage, and the beauty of is that it is just postponed, so it gives people more chance to train, more chance to compete to get into that team. So we're all just shifted our dates, and hopefully we're all heading in the right direction to Tokyo 2021.
Cool. So Anahira from Havelock North Intermediate has another question. How long do you spend in the country that holds the Olympics before and after the event? That'll be different for every athlete. So in Rio for us, my team went in week 2, so we didn't see the opening ceremony. So we were one of the final events of the Olympic Games, so in the final week, and we only spent about 5 or 6 days in the village, and after the closing ceremony, the whole team actually left the next day.
And for us, we actually head over there quite early, so we generally go there about 3 weeks before the games start. We try to acclimatise as best as we can, get used to the environment, but the village doesn't open up. I think it's 9 days prior to the games actually starting, so we'll always go away to another part of the country. So if we were going to Tokyo this year, we were meant to go to Maibara, and we were going to spend about 10 days there acclimatising, training just as our group, so we're not having everyone else around us with other distractions, so we're just having a real concerted training block, and then about 7 days before the games we would then move in to then sort of get used to the whole village experience and the other people involved as well.
Awesome. So we've got a couple of last questions before we wrap up. This one from Rashida from Ponsonby Intermediate. Is there a place you particularly want to play? Like, is there a country that we particularly want to go to compete?
My probably top one for hockey that I always love to go to, and I hope I get a chance to go there one more time before my career finishes, would be Holland. It's kind of what I would classify as one of the countries is the home of hockey. They have a great fan base, a lot of knowledgeable hockey people watching, and the support is always fantastic. And probably the second one to that would be India. You get crazy fans. They're just absolutely going nuts from start to finish. It's like a bit of a party going on when you play there, and you could top out at almost 40,000 people watching a game, which is a pretty cool experience.
And I loved racing in Hungary. The Hungarians love kayaking. It's a huge sport there. You'd line up on the start line and you couldn't hear anything but the cheers and the crowd going wild. So it was a really awesome atmosphere. What are the biggest challenges you've faced from Samantha Massey? I think the most recent one for me leading into the Olympic Games was I had a minor shoulder dislocation about 6 months before. I remember it was Christmas. I'd been in the gym on Boxing Day, and I was doing a one-arm row. I think I had around 50 kilos in one hand trying to pull it up, and my body weight plus the weight of the weight had gone through the front of my shoulder, and that was really scary time for me because I thought potentially I won't be able to go to the Olympics, and all these negative thoughts were going through my mind. But I managed to get my mind on the right track and focus on the rehab, and we got there with some careful planning, careful training, and lots of mental skills work.
Yeah, a lot of mine would be injury based as well. I've been tended to be a bit of a ball magnet, breaking fingers and my face plenty of times. Jaimee always says, "Oh, what have you done now?" kind of thing. But the other one is obviously deselection. So it always hasn't been a smooth ride. Early in my career, I would have been dropped maybe 6 or so times. And that's probably one of the hardest things as a sports person that you ever have to overcome. Even if it's your intermediate first 11, you're going for that and you miss out, or a rep team and you miss out. It is really, really difficult to try and get over those things from any age. But the thing is that if you've got a good support network, they can help you get through that. And then if you've got the drive and you want to make it, then that will really help you to be better next time. And hopefully there always will be a next time. If you want it enough, then you'll get there. And the more times that Jaimee and I have wanted it has got us to the Olympics, because we've just kept on going and had those goals that we've driven for.
Cool. So we've got one final question, and it's for Shea. What position do you play in hockey?
Well, when I was young, I used to play in the midfield. That would have been all through my intermediate high school career, my early beginning of the New Zealand team. As I've got slower and older, I've moved back. So now I'm actually the last man. So I play centre back. I'd say that's because I know my tactics and all that kind of stuff. Older, smarter. You can lead the guys in front of you. But I think they just throw me back there to see if I can help out somehow.
Cool. So we've had finally a few guesses come through. We've had someone guess 26, someone else has guessed 32 sports, 40 sports, and 28 sports. So we counted.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trick one because there's some sports are obviously kayaking. There's different disciplines within kayaking, so K4, K1, same with rowing. So there's actually 25 sports in the video, but some sports you'll see different disciplines in them. So well done on having a guess, but that's the cool thing about the Olympics is that there's a lot of sports that you can have a crack at. We both hope you really enjoyed today, learned something a little bit about the Olympics, what it's like to wear the fern, a little bit of an inside look at the village, which not many people get to see.
We've just had one more question come through. Do you guys help each other train? Yeah, we do. We've actually, so we've got a home gym in our garage. We've got a good a treadmill and a weights rack and some free weights. We usually, whenever we can get the time, we'll train together. As Shea said, I had a baby 11 weeks ago, so finding time to train together is quite difficult, but often we'll sort of get in there as much as we can. And it's good, we push each other, and Shea pushes me a lot, and sometimes I'll hear him talking to himself like a mad person pushing himself along, so
I can finally do more pull-ups than Jaimee now, but she's had a baby. And the other one that helps us train probably is our dog. We've got a husky cross with a German shepherd. If you ever want to stay fit, get a dog like that, because she is a ball of energy. Very big dog, very fit, and we have to take her out twice a day, and that's pretty cool for us.
Cool. So we hope you enjoyed a little bit about what it is like to be as a New Zealand team member at the Olympic Games. If you do have any further questions for us, just feel free to ask them, and we'll answer them when we can. And yeah, we hope you have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.
See you later, everyone. Thank you.